Oh, the British civil service, Britannia, who used to rule the wave, have gone completely woke. At this point, a little bit treasonous, because we now have civil servants, especially from the Home Office, who are going to be suing the government for telling them that your job is to protect their borders. I know, it's not the first time. FDA, the trade unions linked to the civil service, have decided to organize this movement. This is no longer about protesting. This is no longer just about going on strike. They want to take the government to court. Now, civil servants work for the state. Politicians, elected politicians, work for the government because we elect them. The job of the government and politicians is to give orders to the civil servants, literally called servants. Their job is to take orders. As long as it's legal, you do it. If the politicians give you an illegal order, then, for example, to do genocide, then you don't do it. But Parliament makes laws. Legislative make laws. So you got the MPs. They've now officially approved the Rwanda plan. And I'm not even the fan of the Rwanda plan because it's stupid. But it's an attempt. It's something to do to stop immigration, right? Fine. They're illegal immigration. Civil servants are saying, no, we don't want to do it. And we are self-entitled. We're not going to leave. Politicians, elected politicians need to leave. The electorate, the voters of the country, they need to leave. The taxpayers, they need to leave. This is our country, and we are unelected, and we will not go anywhere. So, the trade unions, FDA, said this means that it's left to ministers to decide whether to ignore, obviously, the ECHR, rather than Parliament, placing civil servants in invidious position that of facing a legal conflict between the instructions of ministers and their obligations under the Civil Service Code. This vague constitutional hinterland is the last thing civil servants want. On a controversial policy like Rwanda, there are already siren voices accusing civil servants of trying to undermine the settled will of government. That's why it was vital the government provided. Hang on, before we continue this. Before the House of Commons and the House of Lords fully approved the Rwanda plan, this movement made sense because they could say, well, constitutionally, we didn't have the permission, a consent of Parliament on behalf of the people, so we don't want to do what the ministers are telling us. But now the Houses of Parliament have approved it, and we have to clarify, we have to remind people that the law of the nation should be supreme over European judges. But according to these pro-EU civil servants, they will rather listen to European judges. This is the whole point. Now, civil servants know when they sign up that they have a duty to serve to the government of the day. True. If you work in the Home Office, you know that regardless of the political persuasion of the government, you are likely to be asked to implement some controversial policies. But in doing so, as an absolute minimum, you must have confidence that you're not being asked to break the Civil Service Code. So they continue to go back to this excuse of Civil Service Code. As I said, it would have made sense if Parliament hadn't turned it into an actual legislation, Act of Parliament, but it does not go against the Civil Service Code. It's funny how these civil servants, they were not the same civil servants at the time, but about 20 odd years ago, the civil servants of the day didn't really complain too much when Alistair Campbell and Tony Blair told them that we are going into Iraq without any legitimate excuse. Apparently that was fine, but invading a whole country was fine. But this one, well, protecting your borders, no, we have to sue the government. Really? You know exactly what's going on. They've been infiltrating the system for decades. They want to make sure that democracy is not implemented. That's why a lot of people are also becoming disillusioned when it comes to democracy as a system. Because they're looking at the actual state, people in the state, completely creating obstacles left, right and centre. But it's time to put Britain first, and it's time to protect the British people.